to Sunday Scriptures for Patriots. My name is Sean Morgan. I'm here with Barry Durmaz, and we are going to talk more about the right to travel. We've already had 2 episodes about this, so check out those previous episodes. And this is not just theory. This is not just philosophy. This is Barry and a little bit of myself, if you heard about my parking ticket story. It's experimenting with sovereignty, with the legal understanding of things. But before we get into all of these details, I want to make sure that we leave room for our sponsor because they're supporting our ministry. This is a major component of our ability to continue this show. So let's listen to this word from Sovereign Advisors. Make sure you take advantage of their free consultation in the description below.
Gold is near all-time highs. Has it reached its peak? Did you miss the boat? No, I don't think so. The exploding debt, change in the interest rate cycle, political and economic turmoil have caused the current move in gold, and those things are getting worse. In fact, Citibank projected gold to hit $3,000 an ounce over the next 12 to 18 months. I encourage you to protect and grow your investment portfolio with gold. I trust Dr. Kirk Elliott with Sovereign Advisors. With over 25 years of experience and 2 PhDs, Kirk Elliott is the best of the best in the industry. Call his office at 720-605-3900 and tell him Sean Morgan sent you, or just click on the link in the description to get that free consultation.
All right, Barry, let's talk about where we left off. Before we even get into the details of your right to travel stories, let's talk about this concept of our identity, our status in relation to God, in relation to the state, and how that's the center of all of our communications and all of our activities regarding exercising our rights and duties.
Yes, Sean, we can do that. And we just had an excellent conversation before recording that really brought us to that because I was sharing, got a little adjustment here on my desk. Yes, Sean, we're going to talk more about the right to travel. But what I'm learning is that it's like a spoke that's connected to a hub on a wheel. And there's many areas of our life that vary between us as to what's important, what we're working on, what attack we're trying to get victory on. So, but what I've had help to learn is that above all things, there's this hub of, who am I? And who are you, Sean? Who are our listeners? Where did we come from? Okay. And where are we going? But you don't know where you're going unless you know where you came from. And if we understand as ones who have faith in the Creator, and his name is Jesus Christ, well, then that answers it right there, that we came from him. So, you see this in the world of manufacturing, Sean. Anything that's made has an owner's manual, right? And if you don't use the owner's manual, what happens with the product? Usually, it doesn't get used properly, right? And so we call that abuse. Like one of the egregious things that happens to people is that they are abused. And I think you and I have this ministry program to address these abuses address them, and we say overcome these attacks to our nation, to our churches, and to our families with the government of Christ, which is self-government. And so this is answering your question as to my identity, Sean. And again, we were talking about this prior to the recording, so we're just kind of the overflow that we're getting excited about who we are. And I contrast that with the fraud of the state just telling us, unless you have a state-issued ID with your photo and your address, they're just not going to give you the privilege.
They're saying they issue the identity. They're saying the power comes from them. But once you get your status figured out and you realize I'm the sovereign under God, I'm a sovereign under the ultimate sovereign, and that the government works for me, represents me, I'm the one who holds the power, then you operate and communicate completely differently than you would if you were operating under the assumptions the state was making. So this is what the founding fathers did, right? I mean, in the Constitution, didn't they say we are endowed by our creator with inalienable rights? Like that was the basis of the contract, wasn't it?
Yes, that's the compact. Yes, actually, that excellent quote is from our birth certificate of the Declaration. Okay, these fundamental rights, and so there, as a nation, Sean, our identity was drafted on that document, and this is part and parcel and the very fundamental truth of our country. We are so unlike every other nation. And I want people to hear me clearly on this, Sean, because I am of international blood. I've mentioned it before in this podcast, but it's for those who, just good to repeat it, and we may have new listeners. But I was born here, but I'm a first generation American. I was born in Queens, New York, to immigrant parents. My father from Turkey, Turkey, from İregli, Konya, Turkey. That's where he was born in 1929, I believe it was, 1929. My mother is a wee Scottish lassie from Glasgow, Scotland. And I love that country because it's just the pipes and the drums and all. It's just a very green, freedom loving, we know the Scots are freedom lovers, right? I hope we got some Scots out there listening. My mom, I'm sure she is. But the point is that, Sean, in God's providence and his sovereignty, I think he gives me credibility to talk about and elevate what's good about this country, not because I'm a, long time. My family are all just born and raised here. My parents, both from Europe. And then I married my wife, who's from Japan. You married your wife, Sean, from Brazil. And so when you get excited about what's good about our country, you're not I'm just going to throw this out because people think
it's not like we're ethnocentric or super, just have a big bias here. It's like I've been living in Brazil for 3 years. Mm-hmm. You lived in Japan for years. We've been able to compare these cultures and be able to understand the benefits of the American system.
Yes. And here you just used a key word, and you mentioned ethnic or ethnicity. All right. In the book that I'm writing, which actually it's really written, it's being edited right now, and the cover design is coming together. But where this book is coming out, where the title is "What is an American?" All right, and in there I'm dealing with right from the beginning why America is unlike any other nation. So if we're going to get clear on what is an American, we got to know. I mean, we have to know why America is so unlike every other country, Sean. And so here's a taste of what's coming in this book. And that is, it is not an ethnicity. Americans are not a bloodline of people who've been on this land as they've been in other lands. So for example, your wife, Brazilian, well, those people, that's from the very beginning, whenever they came together and said, hey, we're Brazilians or whatever, we speak Portuguese, right? That's the language there, Portuguese?
Well, no, there are indigenous people who have been here for thousands of years, and some of her ancestors are indigenous, but yeah, most of her ancestors are from Europe. So Brazil's pretty similar to the United States in that they have a lot of European and some Japanese people, and certainly many former slave ancestors as well. So very similar kind of ethnic makeup as the United States.
Well, Sean, okay, that's good that you mentioned it. There's these indigenous people. Now, I touch on this in a very brief form because this book is an introduction to this topic of what is an American. And if I'm striking gold there, if I'm scratching an itch, then I trust that I'll get good feedback. There'll be good sales, and there's more to write. But I'm an unknown. I have been published in newspapers and other places, but this is the first time to get published in book form. So I'm going to let the marketplace determine, is there a need here? I really think there is, and but they'll confirm the marketplace. But what I touch on is what you just said about Brazil, and that is, see, here in America, it can be believed, and it is believed by some or many, that the indigenous Indians, or the Indians, right? They're the indigenous people. They were the people who were here before anybody immigrated here, right? Like they were the land dwellers. Okay.
I mean, technically, you could even say that they came from Asia thousands of years ago. So,
yes,
this whole argument of who the land actually belongs to is ridiculous.
Exactly. You're making a great point. If you follow it long enough, or you trace the progression of these things and the unfolding, it goes all the way back to the Tower of Babel, and it goes all the way back to our first grandpa. That's Adam, and our grandma Eve. It goes all the way back there. So that says the Word of God is authoritative on so many levels, and it gives us our good history. Okay, not in great detail, but enough that you can please God. You can have genuine faith to know the origin of things. And so that's when we talk about our standing, our status, our identity, that's what we're doing. We're going back to the origin. Who made me? Where did I come from? And when we know that it's the supreme judge of the world, Yahweh, Jehovah, and he comes in bodily form in the person of Jesus Christ, all bets are off to answer those questions. Who made me? Where did I come from? And therefore, where am I going? And so,
what are our rights and duties? Everything's built into that.
Exactly.
But yes. I really like how you talk about how the fingerprints, and I mean, that's just one example, our unique face, our unique iris, there are many different ways of measuring it, but yes. God, through the creation of our bodies, gave us a uniqueness, and through our genetic profile. So we don't need to have the government verify that we are unique through it's just a record keeping system, yes. And they aren't the sovereigns, they're representing us. So, we got to figure out a new contract here between the state and the sovereign to figure out identity. And I really think blockchain is going to play a role in this, because you can create an immutable record and you can store data there, and it's objective, and it's like a third party. But anyway, Barry, let's finish up this talk about the right to travel, because you ended up cross-examining, I believe, a sheriff. So can you tell us what you feel like you left out in the last episode?
Okay. Well, there's numerous things, but one of the things that stands out to me is I'd like our listeners to hear is I've seen firsthand the manipulations, and I touched on this last time, but the manipulations in our courts, and I've got many examples of that. And so as I shared a little bit about this trial that I had over not having their license. Okay. So, they have to bring in their witness to corroborate. And that was the officer who cited me and even threatened to arrest me if I didn't do what he said, those kind of threats. But down there in Live Oak, Florida, Suwannee County, before Judge Williams, and the prosecutor is there, and going through line of questioning that, point to the person in the courtroom. Is this person here, Barry Hassan Durmaz? Yes, and all that. And the whole deal of just on this date, was this man traveling? And well, I didn't say traveling, but driving, and without the license, without permission, all that. So Sean, here's something I've learned from a lawyer friend of mine. That's Brent Allen Winters. And he's available online at commonlawyer.com, and a great resource, really is a gift to the body of Christ. I learned from him that oath taking is not the sure way of getting to truth. And we're to take oaths, or at least those, maybe not us necessarily, but those who are going to uphold our law, Sean, they take an oath. Okay, so here I'm getting ready. Well, everybody gets sworn in court, right? And I have here on my desk here, I have an oath of loyalty of one of the judges I've been before. And I started doing my diligence here, and but no, it's not oath taking. It's actually the art of cross-examination that gets to the truth. Okay. Because the proverb says the first one to come along and make his case seems right until his neighbor comes and examines him. So there's Bible, friends. There's good Bible on cross-examination is a God. It is a Christian idea. Okay. And so look at this. I put together, I've got my outline of my case, and picking up from Brent, he says, what you do is you attack your opponent with trust questions. Okay. You basically, not a trust like a trust settlement, but it's the issue of trust. All right. You poke holes, you attack and demonstrate that this person, that witness, is not credible. That's the point of cross-examination, Sean. Okay. So they're the plaintiff. They're complaining that I don't have their license. All right. And I'm the defense. And as the defense, I get to cross-examine. And so here was my first question. Is traveling on the public roads using one's own privately owned car a common activity? Okay.
How did they respond to that?
Sean, you just cut out on your audio. You're doing okay now, but okay. Well, he did answer that. I mean, but he didn't do it to like, oh, of course it's a common activity. I'm telling you, every question I put to him, he had to kind of think about it. And it got to a point where he actually looked to the judge, like, right, because he was going to end up incriminating himself. But because
did he end up saying yes or no? I mean, that's a yes or no question.
Yes. Well, so I have some sub points on this. So he answered yes. What I'm doing is I was establishing whether this activity that I'm being called into question for, right? Is this a common activity, or is this something that's not so common? And let me progress here, and maybe it'll make sense, because okay, so it's a common activity, all right, and yet this common activity is considered dangerous by government employees, is it not? Now, he didn't really answer that, but I want our listeners to hear, Sean, as we talk about this today. Not everybody thinks traveling by right is something to be concerned with. People get nervous talking about this stuff. I mean, really, people do get nervous. All right. But when you study what's good about our country, friends, when you study biblical principles, you study our history, and you study the Constitution. They all flow and they're related. Getting nervous, it just starts evaporating. Fear evaporates. And I'm telling you, something rises up on the inside. I'm telling you, as one who's experienced this and am continuing to, that you start unclothing these people in your mind. The fraud, you got X-ray vision now. You start seeing through their manipulations. So Sean, when I established with this deputy sheriff that traveling is a common activity, okay, driving on the public roads, then I said this: is murder a common activity like traveling is? What do you think of that?
Well, yeah, you're really boxing them into a corner, aren't you?
Sean, this is what I did back home as I'm preparing for this case, this hearing, and actually it was the bench trial, just getting, because what I'm learning is cross-examination. You got to poke holes. You've got to question them, attack the questions of trust. And so these people conspire together that they're trustworthy and they're really keeping the peace. On the law enforcement vehicles, it says, public safety. And there's the right idea of that, true law. And that's why my second question. See, is murder a common activity like traveling is? Well, no. I mean, murder, you don't go out your house every day and there's someone dead and murdered and in the paper every day. I mean, somewhere in the country, yeah, but in your community, no. Okay. So what I was doing, I was making a contrast. And that's the art of a free man, Sean, is to talk about the right idea of something and the wrong idea. All right. And so this was a common activity that we must engage in. We must engage in. You know why? Jesus, when he was raised from the dead, his parting words to his disciples was go and make disciplined learners after me. Okay. And I haven't found anywhere after he said go that you need to check in with somebody to do that. You need to get permission, a license. No, he said go. And listen, friends, he rose from the dead, and then he told us he has all authority. What more do you need? Like resurrection life, Sean, resurrection life said, go be my emissary. And this is the reason to go to work, to go to travel, is that the king said so. And this says that he is in control of all things on the land today. I'm not preoccupied with the future anymore. The future will come, but today is what I'm working on, Sean, the present tense of my faith. And so come back to the courtroom is that, let me look at my outline here. So is murder a common activity like traveling is? Are violent crimes a common activity? Is theft a common activity? Okay. And then what I did is I presented I had a criminal law desk reference with me, and I looked up the word criminal. And look what it says here. A person who chooses personal gain over the rights of others and has no concern for the law. Okay, personal gain. And then I brought in personal gain. Well, personal gain, isn't that the pursuit of happiness? Well, it says here, which is, pursuit of happiness, which is an unalienable right. Do you agree? Okay. Sean, I got the prosecuting attorney, they hammered me. They objected, and the judge sustained it. And so I did get hammered in this case, but what I took away from it, because I couldn't even get down to my line of questioning. I mean, I was going to take this guy down. I was planning on, he was going to have to renounce his role as a deputy sheriff because I'm appealing to his conscience. And I had with me Federal Reserve notes. I was going to make a contrast between, what is lawful currency from what's not lawful, and really showing him about the counterfeits of things, and showing him that he's actually enforcing law that's been made up. It's counterfeit law. It's man-made law, and drive home the point.
There is no injured party.
Yes.
You were not a criminal because you were not injuring anyone else, right?
That's right.
That's the definition of a criminal. So that seems very relevant. It seems weird to me that they objected to you talking about the criminality question.
Yes. And especially in Florida. Again, this was in Florida. So, states could be different. I don't know about every state. I've been in Oregon. I'm not sure how it is there now. But in Florida, it is a misdemeanor crime. So, okay, let's look at that. And I'm bringing out law books to define crime. Last week, I talked about Blackstone's commentary. I have here, volume 1. To have a crime, you must have an injured party. Sean, in fact, let me about this prosecutor, Sean, when they saw some of my paperwork, I actually had 2 prosecutors in there. Get that. See, when they saw my motions, and I'm putting in all these exhibits to them, and about the role of the common law judge, and that did you know in our courts that all the proceedings have to be financed with dollars? And when you look at the Mint Act of 1789, I got it here. It was signed into law by George Washington, President George Washington. It's called the U.S. Mint Act, the Mint Act. It defines our currency here. What is a dollar, Sean? And in there, it defines it as 371 and a quarter grains of silver. And in that provision of the Mint Act, it says all court proceedings have to be rendered according to this weight and measure of what is a dollar. And so, Sean, when you start seeing these things, it emboldens you. It's like their whole game is, their whole court, is smoke and mirrors. It is manipulation. And that's why I have this tote here called The Right to Travel. When I was working on this one area of traveling and driver's licensing, that there's so many areas, such as the jury, the Florida Highway Patrol, the fact that above the judge, he's got the state seal that says "In God We Trust." I got folders for everything. The bar monopoly, theft. I got into. Oh, here's something. Where is it?
Barry, it didn't matter in that case that you were right and they were wrong and you had the law on your side and they didn't. They just objected to you. The judge sustained it, and it was just game over against you, wasn't it?
It was, and I had a nice
take away from that. Would you do things differently? Do you just say, what, that's on them? I'm going to keep on doing what I got to do, or like
Sean? Yes, do things differently. Well, again, I want to underscore. Where do you go to get this kind of experience? Okay, see, people have objected to me about working on these things. They'll say, well, you got to choose your battles. I would reach out to friends across the country, different people I respect, some teachers and whatnot. And I asked them if they would come forward to be a witness for me in my case. I asked several people to be witnesses, and I had only one man who was willing to do it. He was in Virginia, but I think he was willing to do it. I'm not sure why we didn't get to that point, but I had a lot of guys who I respect highly that are very learned. They're teachers here in our country, men of God, that when it came down to it, they, there was bigger fish. You got to choose your battles. And I'm like going, yeah, this is the battle I'm choosing. Why is it always the battle I'm in when I'm looking for some support? You're told you got to choose your battles.
Well, Barry, the reason why is because people are in a fear-based mentality here.
Yes.
They think the state has all the power. They think they have no power. And they are scared to death to go against people who have uniforms and guns and wear black robes and speak basically a different legal language than they understand. And so they're in this mentality of, I am the obedient peon peasant of this society. And there are these overlords and what they say goes, and I can't go against them. It's just not the sovereign way of looking at things. But you know what, Barry, I'm seeing right now in this country what's going on in the airline industry, and everyone's trying to keep it real secret. But what's happening is you have air traffic controllers and pilots that are saying, I'm not going to get this injection. And they're walking off the job, and they're risking a lot. They're risking their livelihood, they're risking the security of their family to do this. But sometimes you got to do what you got to do to stand up for your rights. And because of what they're doing, and by the way, a lot of these people are veterans and they fought for our country. And so it turns out that we, the people, hold all the cards.
Yes,
we can shut down the entire airline industry if we want to. And those executives and those shareholders won't make any money if we don't do anything. So they need us more than we need them. We have the power. And so, Barry, that's
Sean.
why people weren't willing to support you, because they don't want to go against the system because they think the system has all the power.
Sean, okay, key word you're using right now, power. Let me bring something forward here. Why I was so emboldened in my 4 years in Florida to make a defense for myself over traveling without their license on the road that they call a misdemeanor crime. Look at this. I was boldened because the 45th president of the United States was in office, Donald J. Trump. And Sean, I don't know about you and the listeners, but when that man was in office, I listened. We watched the inaugural address of that president. And I have it here. I printed it out. I read it to the family, and I underlined such things when he said, we are transferring power, you said power, from Washington, D.C. and giving it back to you, the American people. Sean, he says, this is the day the people became rulers of this nation again. And throughout his inaugural address, I've got it right here. Like, this is history. These are these presidential, these statements, these inaugural addresses. This emboldened me, the man in the White House. I'm bringing it. He's saying that. I'm bringing it down to my little world. Friends that are listening, you bring it down to your little world. And you have to ask yourself, what did you do the 4 years that Donald J. Trump was in office? Because, and that's a good question to hear. We need to hear these hard questions, because if we think he's going to do it all, no. That is not the principle of self-government, Sean. No, we got a man in the office, like, glory to God. He's saying that. We have never heard this in our lifetime. Never. Okay. The closest thing, actually, let me qualify that. Ronald Reagan. I got his inaugural address, and I have some quotes from him that are coming in my book. Ronald Reagan, he was a fairly good president, quite frankly. But this president that we were just under for 4 years, and it's my conclusion that that man is an injured party. There was no court to hear his case. He is still, because of the manipulations in our courts, I believe he is still legitimately the 45th president of the United States. Okay. And not to focus on that right now, but Sean, what more do we need? The principle of self-government is in the scriptures. It is Christ himself. And when you get born again, he governs you. And now we got the highest constitutional officer of the land saying that Washington, D.C. is going to start
We didn't even need him to say that, because it's in our founding documents, right? The Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, all of our government is supposed to be based on that.
Yes.
So if we truly understand that, then it doesn't matter what people say. And beyond that, it's based on the scriptures. It's based on a spiritual law. So we've got to get back to the Bible. We got to get back to the founding documents, and base our understanding on those very simple truths. That's what I really love about the law. That it's pretty basic stuff, that Jesus said, you love God with all your heart, and you love your neighbor as yourself. It's like, that's the law. It's pretty simple. And when you start studying the common law, it is pretty simple, isn't it? It's like, you can do what you want to do as long as you don't hurt anyone else. So it all comes down to that. So, Sean, people can definitely dig into the common law, commonlawlawyer.com. What is it?
Yes. Let me mention a plug for Brent. I love this man. He's a gift to the body of Christ. commonlawyer.com. Get his materials. This is an all points bulletin. Get Brent's materials. I've got them, pretty much all of them. His Excellence of the Common Law. He's translated the scriptures from the Hebrew Chaldee, the Greek, the Koine Greek. That's four volumes. And then he has a small one on Don't Talk to the Police. Why you shouldn't talk to the police, from the Bible and from our Constitution. From our and what you learn from him, Sean, is that our Declaration of 76 is it's a common law complaint. We just don't know about our common law, but it is world overcoming. There's only a handful of countries in the world. There's really 5 or 6. America, Canada, hello, our Canadian friends. It's a common law country. England, Australia, and New Zealand. There could be another one, but most countries in the world are Roman civil law countries. It's Babylonian in nature. It's consolidating of powers. You don't need an injured party, but in our common law, which is based on Christianity, okay, you must have an injured party. And so we have 2 views of life here in our country. And you learn this. Brent is so good to bring this forward. And if you want to really get your handle on the history of our common law, Sean, his materials are there. And so our Declaration is a common law complaint. And so get this, our Constitution is a brief. It doesn't say a lot. It doesn't even define much. It defines a couple things, such as treason and what is a citizen. I think that's the only thing it really defines, is treason and a citizen. But the Constitution, it doesn't give a lot of information as to how the government's going to function. It is a brief of common law government. And so that's why we do have statutes enacted after that must be in accordance with it. Sean, that's all I need to hear too. That only laws in support of our Constitution, this is in the Constitution, is the supreme law. And so when we're talking about traveling, I find the licensure and the permitting and the compliance to be wholly other than in compliance with our law, which is the common law in our Constitution and our Declaration. Friends, so throw off, as your conscience is being appealed to right now. I have some strategies that I've worked out. And so if you join our ministry, Household Embassy, there are tools there, and even the abatement. Sean, you asked me, well, what am I doing? I'm staying out of their courts. I've been in them enough. 1, 2, 3 times being in front of them. The fourth time, I know how, I appeared without appearing. You shared that last week, the victory with my daughter, okay? Writing papers that their professional accusers can't respond to. And so, Sean, it is so clear to me, the machinations, the manipulations, I'm not going in. I know how to stay out and live my peaceful life. But if I had to go in, if for some reason I had to, it'll be a glorious day, okay? And it won't happen, I don't think, because they're threatened. When you ask the good questions, for example, let's say they handcuff you and drag you in, right? Right. That would be. I'd have to get out of my car for that. See, that's another thing.
Right. But we know how they can be. They can point the gun at you and pry open your door. But that's the whole point. Is that if they try to force you,
yes,
then you're in a position where you could communicate based on these principles.
Yes.
So that's what you learned. You basically learned is you want to stay out of their courts. You want to,
John,
use the strategy of appearing without appearing.
That's right. And you don't get ugly. I want to be clear. Meekness is the hallmark of love. Okay. The command, Sean, you're really good to bring, when we do these programs, these Sunday programs, we launch them on Sunday. There's just two great commands, right? Love God, love your neighbor. What does it look like to love your neighbor? Meekness, gentleness. These are synonymous terms there in the different translations. My family can vouch, especially my children, who I'll have with me often. They have been through some of these altercations, and you speak the truth in such a way, which is love, that it befuddles them. And so you do not get ugly. And I know there's a lot of things posted on YouTube with, right to travel things and can get kind of heated or whatnot. I don't do that. I do not do that. No, I do lock the doors. I will crack the window. But if I do get out, and I have gotten out, I have done it, and they want to talk to you, I show them paperwork. So I have, each case has to be taken on its own merit, but let's just underscore the Jesus method, governing yourself. And you don't face off. Brent says you do not face off. You don't, evil for evil. No, we don't do that. And
don't get confrontational.
No, you don't do that.
And it was interesting how Jesus handled these legal authorities. It's interesting to me how he said things like, they would ask him a question, he would just throw them back. Well, that's what you say. They're like, are you a king? Well, that's what you say. He wouldn't, give them some kind of, he wouldn't incriminate himself. That was very, very skillful kind of legal strategy there.
Yes. He is the master of all things. And it's neat to look at Luke chapter 11, where he condemned the Pharisees who made laws. They put burdens on people that they don't even lift up a finger themselves. And, the Bible is this is the greatest law book ever written, the holy law word of God, Sean. And I had this judge, in the case that I had there with this deputy sheriff, and I cross-examined him. I opened up my case with the Bible. I opened up 1 Timothy chapter 1, and I read about the law being used lawfully and who it applies to. I'm telling you, he listened to it for a little bit, but the man is godless. He is godless. He shut me down, and he actually threatened me with contempt of court because he says, I'm warning you. And you see, I'm operating outside their system, but it's our system of common law. And when you can't bring the word of God in there, that's why I say, Sean, I'm not going in there. And glory to God, I don't have to go into their meat grinder. And our friends that are listening,
they treat you like crap in there. I mean, seriously, the police, I don't know, people probably know from their own experience, but these policemen, they're pretty aggressive towards you, the way they speak to you, the way they bully you, the way they speak to you. And then you get into a courtroom, and then the judge pulls the same thing. They treat you like incompetent children. It is not respectful. It is not based on, and there are exceptions to this, of course. There are some friendly judges. There are some friendly police officers.
Yes.
But my understanding is that they've been trained to speak to you this way, to keep you in line, to keep you following orders as being obedient. And so, you kind of flip the script on them when you stick to your principles. So Barry, you had some interesting experiences of getting a voter registration without proving you're a United States citizen. We will get into that next episode. But at the end of every episode, you like to address some of the people who have reached out to us. Is there anyone that you want to address now?
Yeah, actually, I'm amazed. I'm appreciating people who are they're joining without cost to support this work and this mission to America. Okay. And so, yes, there are several individuals, Sean, and I thank you for that we want to acknowledge. First, I'm going to mention someone who just joined with the first letter A. So it's just A, but A George up in Pickering, Ontario, our friends up there in Canada. Okay, so George, thank you. Welcome aboard. Appreciate your support. And then we come back into the land of the free, the home of the brave here. Janice in Lincoln, Nebraska. Welcome, Janice. Thank you for coming over to Household Embassy International Services. And then Susan, who I don't know where you are because I don't have a complete profile there of you, all your information. And which is to say that I want to just encourage people, Sean, that when they join Household Embassy, if they could log back into their account and complete your profile, let me know who you are. If you want to put a photo, that's great. If you don't, hey, that's not the end of the world. But I want to get to know you folks. We're here to rebuild your household governance and throw off the attacks. And all I'm doing is sharing in this opportunity that Sean is gracious to have me on to share how we fleshed out our faith and take our country back, take the church back by starting with our household government. So that's Susan. Susan, love to know a little bit more about you, but I do appreciate you supporting us. And then Mary Thom, and I'm not sure, actually, I don't have down where she's from, but Mary, a pleasure to meet you, ma'am. Look forward to learning about you. And then in Kingston, New York, got a gentleman by the name of Frank. Frank, I got your, he joined Household Embassy, and I got your comment there, and I'm going to reply to you. So, he just wants me to refer to him as Frank. So Frank, I'm going to honor you there. And so welcome. We're not too far from each other, with me being in Pennsylvania. And then lastly, I think this is last, Dan Spalding down in Fort Collins, Colorado. Dan, thank you for taking something here to heart. I pray that we're ministering life to you, and that is what we want to do, Sean. We welcome feedback and questions where you want to drill down, whatnot. But the premise of this program, Sean, is that we're overcoming America's enemies with Christian self-government. And so that's what I'm doing. And glory to his name. It is so invigorating, Sean. And so visit us at libertyisthe.law.us. We can use your support in many different ways. I have some new content that's coming out outside of this podcast. As you know, Sean, we were talking about it. I've got some videos that I've been filming, some other attacks that are too lengthy to get into right now, and some messaging to the church. Okay. So if there are people listening who are in Pennsylvania, Cumberland County, and Newville, we want to get together with God's people on the resurrection day. And that's true law that's being liberated, Sean. So I'm feeling really good. And before my external circumstances change, I'm being renewed day by day. And so we've got other reports to bring forward of victory when we just come together, do some reasoning, write some things down. And it's amazing, Sean, when you write a few things down and put them to these agencies, it does work out.
It has worked out pretty well for you. I mean, I'm surprised you haven't been paying the federal income taxes for over a decade. We're going to get into that in the next episode. No one's hauling you off to jail for holding to your conscience. So I know some people have made sacrifices, but you haven't had to deal with being injured by the government here. So let's get into that in the next episode. Let's talk about the issue of your voter registration, the issue of identity, and also of the tax question, and also maybe we can get into trusts. It might have to be a part 1, 2, and 3 about the IRS and all that stuff. But
yes, I think you're good. Mm-hmm.
I also want to make sure people know of the resources on your website, because there's a place where you can access family-friendly videos. Barry's family is passionate about this art form of film and how it can inspire people through Christian principles. His daughter is a Christian filmmaker, so they have a really nice list. And I've been watching these movies, and they change your life. They change your heart when you watch them. So that's one resource. And another resource is Barry offers free consultation. So if you want to talk to him for free for 30 minutes about your household government, then he will do that. It's all on libertyisthe.law.com or libertyisthe.law.us. It all goes to the same place. And, I've got lots of things I'm doing on my site, SeanMorganReport.com. That's the place where if you sign up, you're going to get regular updates from me about breaking news, about financial related things, so geopolitics, about taking back our country in a peaceful way. And on my website, I've got lots of resources. I've got 3 free books. I've got a free book about QAnon for beginners, a free book about cryptocurrency and Bitcoin for beginners. I have a book called 43 Life Hacks for Fulfillment and Health. I've got another book called The Mastery of Change about self-development. So I've got a lot of free books on SeanMorganReport.com. I've got these sponsors that support our ministry, support our work. They're all there too. And some of these sponsors involve free money for you. If you sign up on Coinbase, you get some free Bitcoin. If you sign up on Strike, you get some free cash. If you support homeless veterans by buying homemade soap for Hero Soap Company, you get a discount if you use the coupon code. And same thing with Red Pill Living, getting those health products. We're in this pandemic of the vaccinated time where people are getting injected with this experimental crap. And so they're shedding these spike proteins. We all need to boost our immune systems. And so redpillliving.com, use that coupon code QFAQ, and you can get your vitamin C and carbon C60, all these immune boosting natural supplements. It's really good quality stuff. I use it every day for me and my family. So thank you. God bless all of you for watching this program. We're going to keep on educating you on biblical principles every single week on Sunday. Bye-bye.
Thank you for being a part of our Christian self-government ministry by supporting our sponsor.
Hi, my name's Sean Morgan. I'm the creator of the Crypto and Bitcoin course for beginners. I worked for 2 cryptocurrency companies as a marketing director and business developer. I have lots of experience of making the complexity of crypto easy for beginners through tutorials and other tools. Crypto changed the world in 2011. It went from just a cool thing that technical people talked about to now $1 trillion market cap. Every bank, every investment manager, every president of every country in the world is looking into crypto right now. It's changing money as we speak, and now's the time to learn about it. That's the first step of this course, is to understand how this technology, the underlying technology of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, is not just changing finance, it's changing every industry. And then you're going to learn how to participate, how to buy crypto, how to store crypto safely, how to send cryptocurrency to other people and to other accounts, how to trade cryptocurrencies for other cryptocurrencies, how to buy things, goods and services online, and ultimately how to sell crypto and get those US dollars or other fiat currencies back in your account. So the whole ecosystem, the whole step from the first step of crypto to the last step is going to be taught in this short and easy course. Basically, you just watch a whole bunch of videos, not a whole bunch, a few videos of me talking to the screen like this, and then also some animations that make the learning fun and easy and visual. You also get an ebook that has all the answers to every crypto question, and you also get the audiobook with it as well. This short, easy course is $99, but for limited time, it's 20% off. So just go to the link below, get the link for the course, and use the discount code to get $20 off, but it's only available for the first 20 students. So take advantage of that now. I'm your host, Sean Morgan, the crypto expert, and I look forward to being your teacher on the other side. I'll see you there.